times did I throw up? When you first came here, I threw up.
Yeah, you were sick all last year during the school year. And then everything was good. None of my kids were sick or throwing up or anything. And now that the school is starting, Amira was up all night last night throwing up. And I haven't seen a chemtrail since, for a long time. And then, now I finally see them again. And it's so funny how, now that school is starting, now they're back at it. So anyway, I just feel like I'm gonna make these videos regardless of how I feel, or regardless of the frustration and the anger and all of the evil stuff that I feel, because I feel like I just feel like, I'm not going to get anywhere if I just, try to do these videos with perfectionism and all this and that. But anyway, so I'm working on this booklet. And, one thing I noticed, so one thing that really gets on my nerves and really gets me down and it makes me feel bad is that I made a mess of my life. Okay, so I messed up my life royally. I was on drugs. I had CPS. I still have CPS. I literally kept having CPS because all last year, well, not all last year. It kind of started like towards the end of last year. CPS was involved, and then all this whole year CPS has been involved. And it's so funny because all of these workers have literally been in contact with me this whole time. And so it's just funny. It's just crazy because, naturally, like if you wanted to become like a foster parent, or like you wanted to do something, and like this abuse. Okay, so I was placed, we'll do this video, a story time. So, I was put on the abuse and neglect registry here in South Dakota back in 2019 of April. I was pregnant with my daughter. She's 6 years old now. And I think that's how I found out was the last CPS case that I had was with her. And so it was April 2019. Okay, so we are April 2025, but I think that they gave me a court hearing like February or even like January or something. Anyway, so we took it into court, and I submitted everything. They told me like submit everything and write letters and do all this and that. And the thing about me is like I don't have a lot of people to vouch for me. I don't have a lot of people to say, oh yeah, I've known her, and every week that I see her, like she's been clean and sober. I don't have people that would do that for me. And then the messed up part about it, the people where I was living at, it was like a sober living place or whatever, and they would have been the people that have seen me. So we were there from January till May, January, February, March, April, May, 5 months. And I mean, people think like, oh, that's nothing. They would randomly drug test us. They would randomly do UA. When you would come in, they would tell you, they would pat search you, they would shake out your backpacks, they would dig through your stuff, they would look through your stuff, they would, check your bra, they would do everything and the reason why I went there was for the stability. It wasn't for like, I was on state probation for drug charges, or I went there because I knew that like that would further advance my life. And I do well with structure, even though it was really hard for me to like go through that, because like some days I would just be like mentally exhausted, and I'm like, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do nothing. I'm just going to stay home today. And, in the real world, that doesn't fly. In the real world, you got to go, got to go, always go on the go, You can never have a mental health day or whatever you call it or whatever. And so, But so anyway, whenever this time came to get all the information gathered, whatever, I was reaching out to people like, hey, you like were around me. Can you like type up a letter and say that you were around me, that I was clean and sober, that you seen like me. And none of them would do it. None of them wanted to write a letter. They're like, oh, I need to know you a little bit more, and I need to like, I don't know you that well enough to do it, and all this and that. And so that sucks for me. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, holy crap, like I was around you, like you seen me, I was, if you seen me while I was on drugs, I'm a totally different person. I wouldn't even be out and about and trying to be seen by everybody. No, I would be locked up in my head in a room somewhere, just going through spiritual warfare times 1,000. That's why I don't do it no more. And that's how God was able to bring all that upon me, because he didn't want me doing it. So I suffered severe consequences for my drug addiction. So anyway, now that I'm trying to like, get all this and that and whatever. Anyway, I'm not complaining. What I'm saying is that, like, okay, so I have to do this for my child support hours, my TANF hours and all this and that. But I'm like, I don't have skills. I've been being a mother this whole time. My older son, having behavioral issues. Like, okay, so, and then in this town, okay, it's so funny. You know what I mean? It's so funny because, like, this is what, I don't know. It's just so funny. So I couldn't find daycare, or none of the daycare people wanted to take my baby because of the I didn't want to vaccinate. I would provide the proper documentation. They're like, oh, well, no, just no, whatever. And then, but my older son, when he lived here, he would refuse to go to school. But see, I'm the type of person that I understand that, because sometimes we as prophetic people, we have children that are as well as we have children that are prophetic as well. And when your child can feel so much on a spiritual level that they don't like being around too many people, I completely understand that. Does society understand that? No. So then what they're going to do is they're going to report you. They're going to make reports on you. They're going to say, oh, she's not sending him to school. He doesn't go to school. Oh, she's neglectful. She cannot properly take care of him. And I'm sick of hearing that shit. I'm sick of these fucking people. I'm sick of dealing with them. And they're probably sick of me. I don't even care. But what I see is that their behaviors are just going to continue on because nobody's saying anything. You know what I mean? Like that's, and then, one thing I noticed about CPS is like this one worker, okay, she was literally trying to brainwash my son into like going towards my mom, his grandma. Like, you should, focus on grandma and not mom, like trying to trying to rewire his brain to go with her and not me. But his heart was set upon me, And but one thing I noticed about her is she doesn't give off that relatable vibe. She doesn't give off like that relatable vibe, like a truthful vibe. You know what I mean? Like, she just wants to be there, like in control, like you exude, like you don't, you know what I mean? But, and that's why when women get to interacting with these CPS workers, they're so violent and so negative towards them, because that's how they are. People respond well with being relatable. People respond well with, I know that there's like in serious situations, you can't just be all like whatever, friendly and stuff and whatever, but I don't know, in the truth, people, even children, love the truth. And if you don't, then I don't know what to say to you. But I'd rather have somebody be like, you know what, Erica, like you have to be clean and sober for like at least 6 whole months. But even that, because I did long periods of sobriety and I would go right back, so I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, so back to the whole CPS thing, the abuse and neglect thing would be 5 years old, April 2025, this year. So we took it into court, and I submitted all the paperwork, all the documentation, whatever I had. And the judge basically said no, because your drug charge, and my drug charge would be 5 years old October this year. In 2 months, 5 years old. My felony drug charge is 5 years old this year. And so he's like, you didn't provide like documentation of your sobriety, and then the one guy that was in there, he was like, yeah, well, normally people that are sober, they have like a sobriety date, and I was like, I don't really know what date it was. I can like do the timeline. When you suffer, people are so ignorant. When you go through meth addiction, you are in the pits. You don't, you know what I mean? And I have memory issues. Literally, I do. And it comes from when you go through something traumatic, I've trained myself to just like swipe it away and like push it out. I guess you could say push it down. I don't care what you say. I don't know. But I went through so many traumatic things that I learned how to kind of just like forget about it and move forward like right away, not dwell on it, like pick yourself up and move, keep going, like that. But it has done, I think it's done damage, because I don't know the sobriety date. I don't have one. Maybe I could pick one, and then maybe I'll have it for next court hearing or whatever. But and these people that have never dealt with drug addiction, they don't realize that just because one relapse, one freaking relapse, and it was 3 or 4 years ago that I relapsed the one night, and I paid for it. I literally paid for it. God cracked the whip on me, and I paid for it. And I was so scared, and I was like, God, I'm sorry. I repent. It was bad. It was bad. But yet they will say, oh, well, you this and that. No, the old me, a true relapse is when you just want to like trash your whole. I don't believe in trashing your clean time at all. I don't believe in trashing your clean time. I believe that you slipped up, and the old you would have been gone for the rest of the month. You know what I mean? The old you would have been long gone. Buy kids, buy a house, buy life, buy everybody. I'm going to go and be stupid for a couple of months, and then I'll come back and check in. That was the old me. The new me, I slipped once and I regretted it. I regretted every moment of it. God would never allow me to go back to that life or the people or anything. So that's why I stand where I stand with like my sobriety and everything. And so getting off the abuse and neglect, he said no because of my drug charge, and I didn't produce my treatment certificates. I went to treatment before I got my drug charge. Literally, I was in treatment for 2 years. The whole 2 years, different treatments, long periods of time, 3 months, then 5 months, 7 months, 45 days. Just in treatment. I knew like when CPS got involved, I had to rush around and go voluntarily get into treatment. And so, but see, it kind of defeated the purpose because, so I went to treatment, and then got my drug charge. And then after I got the drug charge, I did do aftercare classes with the people down there at the place, at the behavioral health place. I had to do aftercare classes and all this and that. So I did do those, but I think it was like not having a ride there, and then I would use, the guy would come and pick me up and then take me to my class. I can't remember, but yeah. And so anyway, they basically said no. And so I called the lady like a couple of like last week sometime, and I said, when can I apply to get off of the Central Abuse and Neglect Registry? And she's like, oh, you can't reapply to get off of it for another 2 years. And then, and literally in every aspect of my life, like I mean, I don't believe that. Okay, like, okay, so sure, like, I can't work around children and old people because I'm deemed neglectful. And, and people, women, they don't believe that they were neglectful. I didn't believe I was neglectful. I don't care. But see, there's no grace for that. There's no grace for what you thought or what you didn't think, what you didn't know. There's no grace for people like that. Because you know why? You should have known better. You should have known better than to leave your kids with your family members and go off getting drunk and high and all this and that. You should have known better. You know what I mean? I show grace and mercy to anybody and everybody because I want God to show grace and mercy to me. Be careful of how you treat people.